Welcome to Nonprofit Network, powered by Stokes Auction Group. We are a podcast focused on benefit auctions and fundraising events for the nonprofit community. We are a group of fundraising professionals that specialize in raising funds to improve communities of all sizes.
And here it is, episode 2. My name is Shelby Stokes, and on the cast today we have longtime fundraising support specialist Kelly Schenfeld.
That's Kelly Schenfeld.
And accomplished auctioneer Mr. Paul Schenfeld.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back. We appreciate you taking the time to join us. We love hanging out together, and we sure love having you as a part of it.
Hey. This is episode 2. We've made it. We've done 3 episodes. I know it says episode 2, but, we had an episode 0.
We did have an episode 0.
So this makes us number 3.
This makes us number 3.
That's right. That was our inaugural.
Even though 1 plus 2 plus 0 does not equal 3.
Depends on who you ask.
But it's very similar.
It is very similar.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, quick question before we get going. Are we on the campus of Cambridge College? Is that where we're coming from today?
Cambridge College.
Hello.
Hello, oh yes.
This is the
Buffy.
beautiful UW, is what this is.
Oh, that's
that
knew
gorgeous?
that.
This is UW.
Just testing the audience.
You should know that. You have a computer in front of you.
Right, I do.
You could check your computer
Google
and
it.
see what that is. The Google.
So let's talk about it. Last time we met, we were going to have a show. We had a show for UW. They were raising money for one of their schools, and we had a pretty good show.
It was a
last
great
weekend.
Did have a good show.
Yeah.
You know what? It was a fun show,
It was.
too. The
It
people that
was.
were here were amazing. They were energetic. They were glad to be raising money. But it's really a neat organization.
Easy for you to say.
I know. Organization, because they do this, the golden suitcase, right?
Yes, briefcase.
Briefcase.
Yeah, they're
suitcase,
professionals.
briefcase. They're professionals,
They're
so
not,
it's a briefcase.
they're probably travelers as well, but
Though,
briefcase. I'm
anyway, it's a very similar thing, but it was really, really a unique group of people, and we were so thrilled to have them in our studio and working with them, and gosh, they were
And talented.
so talented.
Right? Young,
Boy, they were.
young business
So
professionals
talented.
and so very talented. Like
MBAs?
watching them- Yes, yeah,
MBAs.
for sure. And watching them come up here and kind of do their thing was pretty stellar, I have to say.
Yeah, talk about the competition that they were doing, and so
Yeah.
so that's what's kind of cool.
So it's a competition between the Pac-12 schools,
Yep.
I believe, and the business programs, or the Masters of Business
Masters of Business programs. Yeah.
They compete every year to raise money, and the school that raises the most money ends up winning this golden briefcase. Which is
Well,
pretty
no,
cool.
so there's different things in it. See, Shelby,
Okay.
there's like
in the
also-
competition, you mean?
In the competition,
not in the briefcase.
Not in the briefcase.
That's right.
So in the competition, they have they have the fundraising, they have volunteer hours, and I believe they have a sport thing, which is 20%. So it's 40, 40, and 20, and it's a big deal. And so anyway, I think it's very cool, and I was very happy to have them here, and I'm hoping that they win the golden briefcase, even though it was kind of funny because we're Cougs here.
Yes, we
And
are.
So, but
Go Cougs, WSU.
Go Cougs.
Yep.
I got a computer. I can go in and vote.
You could.
Paul has a computer. We don't really know why Paul has a computer. Just to look something up on the fly, I guess. I don't know. It's like
I might need to Google.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is Paul's writer. He must come with laptop.
And before we get into the meat and potatoes,
Taters?
taters of this here episode 2, I would like to tell everybody how much I enjoy working with these two. They are an absolute hoot.
Aw.
The only problem that we've run into is just recently I have learned that there's apparently an over-under issue with this group of people. So if you get a chance, put in the chat, when you put the toilet paper on the roll, do you put it so that it is on the top, over, or under?
Yep.
Because it's caused a little bit of a problem for all of us.
In-house strife.
Right.
In-house strife,
Yeah.
And right answers only, please.
Right, so
no maybes.
you're gonna want
Only the
over.
correct answer.
over
will
is
be
what you're going to
submitted.
want.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, you can't tell them. That kind of gives it away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So are you like going to do like a toilet paper poll roll?
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody writes in the chat, we'll be very happy about it.
Poll roll. I love that.
Yeah, so we are going to have a toilet poll.
Toilet poll roll. It's coming. It's coming your way.
So,
But before we leave UW, I think that my biggest takeaway from that event, I think the biggest highlight, was watching these young business professionals come on front of the camera and just light up. Like, we've worked in a lot of environments where MCs have just totally flubbed it, came on and been too stiff or too robotic or don't have enough to say. And I thought this group last week really played the line well. Like, they were energetic, they were yes-anding, standing the entire time. It really made for a dynamic show. And this was a virtual event, mind you, but still, I think that's also what you're looking for in the ballroom as well.
It was, and I can't wait to get, live with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Gosh.
Those two? That might be a good idea for a podcast one of these days. Talk about dynamics between auctioneer and...
Can you make a note of that?
Yeah.
On your laptop?
On your
I will.
laptop.
Write that
Got it
down.
right here.
Yeah.
Yep, I will do it.
Can you pretend that you're writing?
Yes.
Can you make
next week's
a
episode?
notes section?
Here it is. Got it. All right. Got it. I'll cover
Launch
it.
us in, old
It's
shelves.
perfect. So last week, thank you for coming out and seeing us. What did we cover last week on our podcast? We kind of covered a little bit of the COVID pivot is really what we covered.
Talked about venues and holding back on your deposits and get in touch with your venues and find out what's best about that and what their rules and regs are around that and how we motivate around that and
Yeah, and in hindsight, I think what we're all trying to do is find the path that each community should be on or which nonprofit should be on, or in some cases what your personal entity, whether it be a business or nonprofit, what their trajectory is on. And what COVID has forced is a pivot after a pivot after a pivot. And that's kind of why we named it last week's the COVID pivot. So go back and watch that, but know that we're going to continue to kind of wax on that idea and how to adapt to these new times.
And what if I talked about a pivot? A pivot, if you have nothing to throw it to, is going into a circle, which gives you a holding pattern.
Oh, which leads
what you just
right
did?
What I just did.
into this week's title or episode or general discussion.
Nice.
We are breaking the holding pattern.
Well done.
You're very much knocking yourself. Okay, very nice. So we're breaking the holding pattern, right? I think that we've all been in a situation in COVID where we're unsure how to move forward, where we're at. We're kind of treading water almost. And our goal today is to help you and help us break the holding pattern. How do we continually innovate in these uncertain times, but also take action when we're not sure what the future looks like? So we have a list of things that we're going to dive into and talk about. But if you have comments or you want to chime in on this, feel free to drop us a line on our YouTube page, comment directly on the video, and we're going to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, or again, shoot an email. We can field those. I know, I don't like emails. Or call us. You could call us too, I suppose.
So basically, a holding pattern is we don't know what is going to happen.
Right.
What should we be doing right now? What should we be doing right now? Let's say I have a fall event.
Okay.
What should I be doing? Now, as we talked earlier at lunch, mandates are being lifted. Right?
Right.
The restrictions are being eased. How do you adjust to those adjustments?
How do you go back to normal? Yeah, how do you go back to normal? And going back to normal is, what it has left behind is also a little bit of a bad taste in our mouth for going back to normal, right? Even though the mandates are lifted and we're ready to start moving forward, we're all still kind of a little angst about it. So it's almost like that dipping your toe into the water or going over, if you know how to swim, to the deep end and jumping in. It really is. You just need to do it and just know that there's going to be people to save you, lift you up if the water is too much for you to handle, or if something happens in our society that we end up going back. But one of the things Paul was talking about at lunch was that, if you have a fall event, you've got to be getting things ready now.
Right.
And so those things have to be secured now. Your items, your caterers, your people.
Let's take that example and exactly expand on it, right? If you have a fall fundraiser, what can you be doing now, today, to plan for that? Right? And you talked about item procurement.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, because within that, you have to have your community, you have to get out there and really touch your community of the people that have donated prior to, as well as the people that are going to come and buy that. So within that, getting your items together comes a whole basket to almost unbury,
Right.
You got to get the people to get the items, so you got to communicate with them, and maybe you haven't touched them as much as you should have in the last 2 years, or should have is harsh. I don't mean that, but face it, we've all been self-involved because we're all trying to survive, whether it be in our households, and we've had that talk too. But maybe it's more of a, we now have to take that and put all the skills that we use to get ourselves okay, now we have to make sure our community's okay. And maybe that's part of that.
Yeah, and so I mean, you mainly drilled down on item procurement, and I think what that eventually turned into, that thought, was insulating your relationships with those individuals in your community,
Yeah.
right? And I think that is, in my opinion, where you got to start with this conversation. You have a fall event coming on. You've had supporters in the past. Where are they? What is their situation, right? Where can they provide value to what you're trying to do? And I think that's where the conversation starts. You know, the individuals that used to give items year over year might not be able to give that same item, but perhaps they can donate something else, whether it be a cash donation or what we were talking about earlier is someone's time, right? Time being one of the most valuable assets of any single person on this planet. If somebody is willing to maybe not give financially, but show up and put in effort and give time to your cause or your organization, I think that's really something you need to value.
Time is as good as money.
Right?
Isn't it?
I believe so.
Somebody can come spend 2 hours and
it's more
volunteer for you
valuable.
on a midweek or a weekend to help you prepare and work on this or work on that or be part of a committee.
Yeah,
Time is just as valuable.
And one step further, have that in your back pocket. So when you're having this conversation with those in your community you haven't talked to in a while, hey, sorry, I can't donate that trip to Hawaii anymore, but I'd love to do something, be ready. Hey, you know what, I need somebody to set up Google AdWords, or I need somebody to come and drop off lunches for the kids. Whatever that case may be, have that on the tip of your tongue readily available when you're having those conversations, and figure out how you can work this person's support into the bigger goal that you have as an organization.
Agreed.
Great
But let's
idea,
don't make
Shelby.
that your first phone call. Let's don't make that your
I agree
first
with
phone
that.
call. Let's make your first phone call something that even I myself should have been better at, and that is just saying, you know, let's say I hadn't seen him in a year. You know, gosh, hey, how you doing? How's it going? I know everything's kind of trying to get back to normal. Has your family survived this okay? Ask them health questions. Have you guys, you know, have you made it through the coronavirus okay? Is everything good? Be careful, you know, it's a very political hot potato. Why? I don't know, but it is, you know. And so, you know, ask them personal stuff so that you're hooking them into understanding that you really do care. Because if you're asking them to give, I'm using my hands. If you ask them to give their time, you are asking them the most personal thing that you can ask for from them. So you should be asking them prior to that phone call how the heck they're doing.
Yeah, and Paul, I'm
First and foremost,
going to bring
how you
this
doing?
back to you. You know, the example you threw out is, what do you do if you're preparing for a fall gala? You know, insulate the community, grab those items. You know, what we talked about last week, Paul, was really about talking to those venues and figuring out what that looks like, right? Which is kind of what we covered last week. Anything else that comes to mind for like a fall gala specifically for you?
Yeah, actually there is. I think that, you know, in your previous committee meetings, you probably had this discussion based on the current situation as of a month ago. We need to procure items that are going to be socially distance oriented.
Right.
Okay, let's gather at the movie theater. Everybody gets 6 feet apart. We have a goodie bag for people that are there. They donate money to get there. All the proceeds go to your charity, right? Let's say that all that's lifted up, all the restrictions are lifted by the time your show comes along. Don't feel like you have to get rid of that item because it's new and it's unique.
Great call.
That might be it's something that I've never sold that at an auction.
No.
We've had a discussion at lunch many times about, let's think of some new ideas for some new items.
Right.
Socially distanced gathered parties.
And also
Keep that item in there, whether we're in restriction or not.
And
right?
what
Well,
comes
again,
to
because you
mind
don't
for
know
me
who's going to
is
be comfortable.
That's exactly what I was thinking, right? There's going to be a whole percentage of the population that may not feel comfortable being in person, so that
Agreed.
could easily fit into something they desire.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it could open up doors for somebody else might say, hey, that was pretty cool. Let's add this little spin to it.
Yeah. So I think that we've kind of talked about what happens when you have a gala coming up and what can you actually do to break this holding pattern, right? I think that we can also take a really community-based view of this viewpoint, right? Because I know what we're experiencing in some of our organizations that we're partnering with is there's almost like a anticipation or
Purgatory.
a
We
hesitancy.
are in purgatory.
Yeah, there's hesitancy to fully commit to something, right? And I think it can also be true not just in a specific event scenario, but also in a community-based organization. We've been in this hurry up to wait to go back in person fundraising type format for months and months, and here we find ourselves again. So what can we as a team do to inspire and take action in this time?
Ooh,
Right.
that's a very good thing. Okay, what can you do in this time? Well, I think that there has to be, in any organization, and the leaders of the charge. And I think that you delve into the smaller community, and you might find some of this out through those initial phone calls of how you're doing, and then you may find strength in some of those people during that phone call, and you may be surprised at who your future leaders of that are. Because of what they've experienced, that there may be a new leader or a cheerleader developed out of this whole thing. But I think you start with small groups and become cheerleaders and charge forward. So, to get people out of that, because people will follow that. They will follow the person with the pom-poms if they are energetic enough, happy enough, and you are believable enough. Now,
I love that. I can just visualize happy pom-pom, happy, yes, I'm excited. Come on.
You're doing good. You get your pom-pom?
Right, yes.
You get your purple on?
Yeah.
I am wearing
Right?
purple.
Go dogs.
Yes, I'm fired up. I'm charged.
I've got Vikings. It's this one, Vikings.
Oh, boy.
Purple is my signature color. That's all I can tell you. But you may have to find new leaders and just charge. You just may have to charge and encourage your people to charge, and just let them know that if they put up a stop sign for us, we stop.
Yeah, and I think something to keep in mind, we're in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, there's no hiding that. We have a UW background right now. We're from the Pacific Northwest. We may be one of the last territories to kind of open up fully, is kind of some of the speculation we're hearing out there. But there's a lot of territories that are already moving forward, and they are in it. They're chasing it like it was pre-COVID, no hesitancy whatsoever. And in our neck of the woods, it's still kind of like, should we giddy up? Should we really be looking forward to this? And I think the way to combat that hesitancy or that anticipation from a community level is take action. Action over thought, right? I mean, don't overthink stuff. Action over intellect. Because what you can really do is think yourself into a corner, and then before you know it, you haven't done anything, right? So by taking specific actions that are quantifiable, I think that is the personal way to make forward. When I wake up in the morning, I make a list of stuff that I want to get done, and I make sure to check some of that stuff off the list before I go to bed at night. And I can look back at that list and say, hey, at least I accomplished this, this, and this.
I put my pants on and brushed my teeth.
Exactly, and sometimes I have to add those if it's a challenge.
Sometimes you do, right?
Those are easy to forget.
Those are easy.
Maybe it's just
easy to forget. But that's what I would really suggest is, like, from a community level, try to make it something quantifiable that you can actually make progress to a larger goal on.
And be prepared and be okay with failure. I think that's something that we think that we can't do. And I think this showed us that we can fail. And failure is okay as long as you have the ability to take what you got from that failure and move forward with it. And, the phrase fail forward is a real phrase. So you may try something 10 times and it's the 11th time that it works. You may try 10 groups and it's the 11th group that works. You may have 10 items, and it's the 11th one that works that is good for your community. So don't be afraid to pick the wrong thing. Picking something's better than picking nothing.
That's good. That's a really good point to keep hammering home. Don't let the fear dictate your actions.
Don't be afraid of it.
Right?
Like
don't let that fear, because I don't know about you guys. I'm sure that you would all agree out there, and I know you guys. I'm sick and tired of being scared. I'm not scared anymore. I'm ready to take it on and let's go.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly right.
I'm tired of being afraid of the unknown, because folks, it is what it is. Here we are. We're in this together, and we're going to do it. We're going to succeed.
That's exactly right. And do something outside of your comfort zone. I think that's what we've learned is, like, before the pandemic really hit, it seemed like everyone was kind of complacent and in not a rut, but in a cycle or on the hamster wheel, if you will, of life. And then this has really disrupted that. So now it's like, okay, when do we get back to normal? And I'm here to tell you, there is no normal. There is no normal. There's never going back to 3 years ago. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to reinvent yourself as a person, and also whatever you used to do has been tweaked or changed in some way, shape, or form.
We have started a podcast, for God's sake.
Yeah, here we are.
So, don't be afraid. I mean, there's that.
That's true. Yeah. No, it's just been very fun to watch, and it's really the transformation that a lot of organizations are forcing to undergo right now. You know, there's many staffs that have gone from 5-people teams to 1-person teams, and they have the same responsibility, and they're holding themselves to past standards. And I'm here to tell you, wherever you are, you're in the right spot, and just make those steps to move forward. So when you're feeling hesitancy and not sure which way to go, do something that's going to help your overall goal, whether it be a betterment of the organization, whether it be one step to furthering a relationship with a donor, or whether it be inspiring somebody that's on your team that needs that inspiration to execute.
Oh, that's good.
And don't be afraid to reach out to people that you haven't reached out to before. You know, and check on them, because maybe they need to be a part of something too.
Right.
And that is really what's kind of come out of this, is people are needing to be a part of something. And gosh, these organizations still have the need. So I'm surprised that more of them haven't imploded, and I'm just grateful for those that have flourished and survived.
Might even be more motivated at this time because
Agreed.
of what's happened.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of inaction, so now it's time for action. And you might have a renewed energy for that right now.
And hopefully you do. You know, when we were coming into this podcast recording today, we were between 2 different subjects. You know, the first being, how do you break the pattern? The second being, how do you inspire a community? And I think they're one and the same to some extent, right? We're trying to figure out how to reinvigorate some of these communities. Individuals that have kind of held back on in-person gatherings for months and months, and now they don't know how to restart the program. And I'm telling you, it starts at the community level. It's reaching out to those players within your connection base and figuring out how and where they're going to fit into the new fundraising format. Is it going to look the same? Maybe, but be okay with it not looking the same, because more likely than not, it's not going to look exactly the same.
Boy.
I think you're right, Sheldon.
I think so.
I think I got Princess Di here to say hello.
I like everything you have to say.
You like that? Princess
Yay,
Di.
Shelby.
I didn't know you had such an affinity for Princess Di.
Oh yeah, I'm way older than you,
You're
but I stay.
basically a princess, and you just never really got to
I'm not a
fully
princess. I'm the queen.
lean into that.
Yeah. So, no, I just found that I've got to have something for my hands.
I should get you gloves next time.
So anyway,
That's right. Ever forward.
ever forward, ever onward.
Okay, so if you'd like to send us a fidget spinner for Kelly, feel free to do that. Fidget spinner? No?
That would do it.
You're doing great. I
Yeah,
personally
I'm
like
doing
it
great.
when you move your hands around.
You what?
I like it when you move your hands around. Just don't hit the microphone, okay?
Okay.
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 Well, good.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us this week. We appreciate you being with us. If you would like to preview the attached description and you want more of us, you can follow us on Facebook. Know that there's a video version of this show posted on our YouTube page. And if you're watching us there, please subscribe, like, and comment on the video. If you'd like to drop a question in there that we can attack next week, feel free to do so.
Don't forget about the toilet paper.
That's right. Let us know how you
wanna hear
feel
your
about
votes.
that.
Yes.
We want to hear your votes.
important.
Feel free to send us an email if that's more your style. Our email address is auction@stokesauctiongroup.com. And
Put a letter in the mail.
oh, there you go. I like it.
Pen and
Back to old
paper.
school.
Go ahead and write us a letter.
Get
Try
back to
to
old
keep
school.
it, sweet.
Yeah. Also, leave a review on any of the podcatchers. I know Apple is really big about reviews, so if you'd like to give us a review, do so. Our intro music is Brighter Days Ahead by Mixard, and we appreciate you joining us for another week. Thank you so much,
That's right, everybody. Thanks for being here. Be bold.
Be healthy.
and go do good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.